Let me finish up, if you don't mind, with a little bit of rapid fire. I say Mina Kimes. You say what?
Mina Kimes is low-key the funniest person you'll ever meet in your entire life. She's 1,000 times more intelligent than pretty much any of the rest of us at ESPN. And she doesn't have this big, boisterous personality. So if you don't know her, you would probably have no way to realize how incredibly funny she is, but she is low-key one of the funniest people you will ever come across.
I say most valuable puppy. You say what?
My wife and I wrote a children's book called MVP about our dog Phoebe, and we donate 100% of the author's proceeds to fighting pediatric cancer. So I grew up in a building in New York City that did not allow dogs. So I never had a dog. I never understood dogs. I used to make fun of people who talked about their dogs like they were members of the family. How could you be so attached to a dog? I never got it. I am now that person who has more pictures of my dog than I have of my children.
I say mental health and therapy, and you say what?
Well, something that I'm really glad to see is becoming a subject in sports, a topic that people are talking about freely. And I give a lot of credit to people like Kevin Love, who have really pushed that conversation in sports. The issue of mental health, I think, is an incredibly important one in our society. And it's something that we have too long viewed incorrectly. I was diagnosed as having depression when I was in my 20s, and I've been in therapy for 30 years. And it has changed my life. It has done wonders for my life. I don't want to think about what my life would have been without it. Men have this idea that it's somehow not manly to acknowledge having depression or any form of mental illness. I think sports can drive a new narrative for that, and I hope that it does. It's not me who's going to be able to do it, but the athletes can.
I say gambling, and you say what?
Well, I've always been in favor of it being legalized, so I'm glad to see that is happening. And I think you're asking me that because I host this show now. So we have a show on ESPN Plus called Better Days, Bettor Days, which is really not as much about gambling as it is about gamblers. It is a show about people who have won or lost bets on sports. I interview people about the experiences they've had with gambling, but as opposed to a normal interview where I would do a bunch of research and know a lot about the person I was talking to, the conceit of the show is that I go in completely without knowing what happens. So I learn what happened to these people at the same time that the audience does. People have really enjoyed it. I would love you and anyone who's watching us to check out the episodes and let me know what you think. It's called Better Days, and it's on ESPN Plus.
Hey, Mike, promise me you'll come back on the show again. This is the first, but I got a lot more. I got to talk to you about Howard Cosell and a bunch of other things in the future, so promise me you'll come on back.
I'd love it. I'd love to. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I hope I see you soon.
Hey, tune into the Carlos Watson Show. It's like no other. You're going to enjoy it every weekday on YouTube.
The That Mailbox Came Out of Nowhere policy from American Family Insurance.